Good afternoon, everyone. How are we all doing? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. We've got plenty to discuss on the show today in your transfer afternoon activity. Sander Berge update coming out fresh from Sky Sports. How do we all feel about him as a player? We're going to discuss, or at least I'm going to discuss, what kind of player he is, how he would fit into the system, why we're linked with him, why he'd actually be okay systematically, but quality-wise, he might not live up, I was going to say to the reputation, but he hasn't really got a huge reputation. So we'll discuss that. I want to talk about Wan-Bissaka and why that deal is struggling to get, well, why they're struggling to get it done, basically. It's a certain financial situation, very similar, and my voice is going... excuse me, very similar to Maguire's situation last season, and there's been some specifics that have come out about that last night and this morning. Paul Scholes has been on the fan debate, and there's a couple of comments about the midfield and the defence and his worries. And I was listening to it, and I was like, yes, absolutely. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Zubimendi potentially going to Liverpool. And Eric Ten Hag's interview, some comments on Lenny Yoro, on Lissandro, giving him awards and a few other little bits. And I think there's, again, some other stuff on top of that as well. So quite actually a jam-packed show and quite a few things to get into, which I'm always excited about. I hate when it's really dry news and it's fuck all and you're kind of picking at bits to kind of talk about. But with this, it's absolutely stacked. There's loads of stuff to get into. So please do smash a like on the video if you can. If you're happy it's almost weekend, and let us know your thoughts on Sander Berge as a player, how you feel about him, because talks are advancing. So Manchester United have held initial discussions with Burnley over a deal for Sander Berge. United are exploring the conditions of a potential transfer. Sander Berge wants to join Manchester United. Of course he does. He's in the Championship with Burnley. Of course he wants to join Manchester United. But what I've done, basically, I've compiled a list of things that he's good at and a list of things that he's bad at, to give you a basic, I could sit here for, let's say, 20 minutes and really go deep on the analytics and specifics, and sometimes people get a little bit bored of that. So it's just straightforward what he's good at, what he's bad at. Now, at 6'5", he's a big lad. He dominates aerial duels in both defence and attack, so that's pretty good. It's what we need. Surprisingly agile, actually. Got very good ball control for his size. You see them set people. Xerxes another one who, again, I'll go off on a bit of a tangent here, but there's purpose for it. So, I mentioned, I think it was, who was it now? I was watching something last night. Fuck, I wish I could remember what it was. And he was talking about Xerxes, and he was like, he's going to be another Weghorst. And I was like, you've never, ever watched this player, have you? Ever? God, I wish I knew what it was. Someone mentioned it. He was like, yeah, I think it might have been on a TikTok or, another kind of football content kind of show. And he's discussing Xerxes, and he was saying, yeah, they'll just be another Weghorst. Can't see it working. I'm like, honestly, they are night and day between each other. The only thing they've got is they're both Dutch and they're both tall. Xerxes' technical ability is far more superior than Weghorst. And I think Sander Berge, again, he don't fall into the height that he's as technically good as Xerxes, but he can certainly hold his own. And he's, like I said, he's surprisingly agile. He's an accurate passer, can initiate attacks. He's got pretty precise distribution, can play through the lines at times, which we need. Game reading, very strong tactical awareness, intercepts, breaks up play effectively. So you're listening to these things and you're like, great, fantastic. Give me some more of that, because Casemiro lacks some of these at times. Has discipline, shields the back line, neutralises threats, good work rate, high stamina, covers large areas of the pitch, but there is a little bit with that, a little asterisk next to that, which I'll get into when I talk about the weaknesses. He can be a threat in the final third, got a powerful shot, but he needs to improve on that. He's dynamic, he drives forward with the ball, crucial in transitions, and what are we bad at, people? Man United, what are we shit at? Defending transitions. Awful, especially Casemiro is terrible at it. So they are the strengths with Sander Berge. Okay, weaknesses. Let's dive into them. Pace, lacks acceleration off the mark. So Sofian Amrabat, for example, is another one who he's not rapid off the mark, but when he gets going, he's got a decent pace about him, and it's similar with Sander Berge. He's not one who's quick off the mark. So if you have an agile, quick player like a Gabriel Jesus, or someone like, I don't know, let me think off the top of my head. Let me think of a winger. Oh my God, I don't know, Mo Salah or something, let's say, or Luis Diaz, and they're going touch tight, or they can get spun pretty quick because he hasn't got that great acceleration, and it's not exactly something that you can improve on anyway. Offensive output isn't great. You know, like I said, he's capable. He's got a decent shot on him, but doesn't consistently contribute high numbers of goals or assists. It's just not his game. Positioning under pressure, occasionally caught out of position. Like I said, if there's a fast, if you've got a number of fast players in the team who are dropping into the midfield, sometimes that could be a problem for him. Aggressiveness sometimes lacks the aggression needed in these kind of combative midfield battles. But again, you can swing the other end of the pendulum with that, and you could say about Casemiro, who is over aggressive at times and gets caught out. So you need a balance between the two. And he's versatility limited. So what that means basically is he can play as a 6, but he can't really play any other positions. Like with a lot of players now, with Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, I mean, the list is endless. They can play multiple positions. Sander Berge's very just one. And you know, some people might not have an issue with that. People might, you know, that's absolutely fine. So in terms of systematically, I don't have an issue with Sander Berge. I think he is, profile-wise, what you would want for that position. It's the level of quality that I'm looking at that I'm like, no other team, Barcelona, City, I've been through it before, the top clubs in Europe would not sign him as the main 6. They just wouldn't. If we're doing it as a stopgap, then look, you kind of hold your hands up and you go, well, it's better than Casemiro. So I'd be open to it in that sense, because I just don't want to see Casemiro in that position. Maybe Sander Berge can do a better job there, but not at the level required if you want to get back competing with the top. Man City have Rodri, for God's sake. Arsenal have Declan Rice. You know, even at Bayern Munich now, they just signed Paulinho. Why was we not in for Paulinho? Look at the price that I know he may have wanted to go to Bayern Munich. But Lenny Yoro wanted to go to Real Madrid, and we signed him. Joshua Zirkzee was close to AC Milan, and we signed him. So why are we not putting our, you know, hat in the ring, whatever they call it, for someone like a Paulinho when he's gone for 35, 40 million quid? Why have you not done a deal like that? Offer 40 for Paulinho, because he's definitely worth it. He's a 50, 60 million pound player. And we need someone like him. He is quality. He's a higher level than Sander Berge, and that's exactly why Bayern Munich have signed him. I think Paulinho is top, and he's the target that we should have gone for. I don't know why we never ever competed for that transfer. It absolutely baffles me. So the fact we're being linked with Sander Berge now, and talks are advancing, and he's interested in the move, it's like, oh. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago, like, credible journalists are reporting it. I don't think a lot of people trust Laurie Whitwell, and they believe him, but they don't take sometimes his words as gospel. And I think he's so accurate with a lot of stuff. He's actually underrated, Laurie Whitwell. And he's mentioned players like Sander Berge and a couple of Ivan Toney's been another one as well that people keep dismissing. Yeah, I think Sander Berge, okay, bring him in, see how he does, systematically fits the profile. But he can't be the one. If you're going to do it for a year, it's like, how many times are you going to do this? Because we had Amrabat in on loan last season for a year. You bring Sander Berge in, he's going to sign a 3, 4, 5 year contract. Is he then going to become a squad player? There are some concerns, in my opinion, with this, and just concerns in general. I'd say for the season, that I'm a little bit like, I don't feel fully confident, but I'll get into that in a moment. I really do want to discuss that, by the way. The whole kind of feel around United at the moment, and how fans are talking about it, and everyone has different opinions on it. Some people are relaxed on the situation, some people are panicking a little bit. So we'll dive into that in depth, and I'll go into the comments on that as well, because I want to get your opinions. But just quickly on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So there's been a situation going on with West Ham and Wan-Bissaka for a while, for a good few weeks. Obviously, West Ham want the player. I don't think there's any issue with wages or even the fee. The initial fee, there's no wages with that at all. However, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is asking for a £7 million payoff to leave Manchester United this summer, as he can leave on a free transfer next summer. So obviously Wan-Bissaka's in a strong position here. He's basically can decide his own future. And this was the exact same with Harry Maguire last season. He was asking for £5 million, and we didn't end up doing the deal. Now, Wan-Bissaka didn't really strike me as someone who would drag his heels and be that type of guy. But obviously he's looking at the situation. He's like, I can either kind of be pushed a little bit towards a West Ham when initially, you know, we wanted to move to Inter Milan, or I could stay at United for another season, still get a decent amount of game time, and then I can choose my destination. If I want to go and live in Italy and play for Inter Milan, I've got the option to do that. And maybe some other clubs will come in because he's a quality right back, but he only suits certain teams, I would say. So I understand his perspective and his stance, and £7 million is a lot of money. But if United are going to sell him for 15, let's say, 7, that's half the transfer fee that they're going to be paying. So again, I'll put you guys in the sporting director's position. I'll put you in Wilcox's position, in Ashworth's position. Would you, with this included now, would you sell him or would you just keep him for a year and then address the right back situation next season? If you, I don't know, you go get a Jeremy Frimpong. I don't know if his release clause is still active, to be fair. But yeah, like Kingsman says there, Wan-Bissaka staying means no Mazraoui. Yeah, that's true. You're definitely not signing Mazraoui if Wan-Bissaka stays. So every transfer almost has a domino effect on each one because teams need to remove players in order to bring ones in. And with United especially, I mean, me and Shreyas did a full show on it yesterday talking about why we struggle to sell players and how high the wages are. And this is, you don't call it whatever the opposite to a legacy is. This is legacy of Murtaugh, Ed Woodward and Richard Arnold giving out stupid fucking contracts to players and just basically offering the world, and then it makes it impossible to sell them. It's the reason why Jadon Sancho's still on the books, why Anthony's still on the books, why Wan-Bissaka's still here, why Casemiro's still here, and the list is absolutely endless. AJF says, I reckon they'll meet in the middle, 4-5 million, but even still, it's a big chunk of change in it, of the transfer fee. I mean, what are Bayern asking for? Mazraoui 20 mil, is it? 15, 20 million? So, yeah, that's just becoming more and more difficult, and I think that's a reoccurring theme for quite a lot of things with United at the moment. So I'll dive into this news and get ready for this. Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are doubts for Saturday's game against Manchester City, although Erik ten Hag is expected to give an update on his side when he conducts his pre-match press conference today. I think that's at 4:30, so I will go live for that actually, and we'll cover it. So make sure you join us. I'm interested to see. Apparently Luke Shaw's struggling a little bit as well to start. I've seen some reports around there. So already you are looking at this team against Man City, and I know it's a community shield, and I know people will say it's glorified friendly, which I agree. I get it. But you're starting off weaker than you was last season. That is an issue in itself. When you're going into a new season and you're weaker than you was last season and you finished 8th, the logic would dictate you're going to have a similar season, right? Surely. Because Casemiro's still in that midfield. Who's going to start alongside Lissandro? Because it ain't going to be Shaw, because we haven't got another left back. So let's say Luke Shaw does just make it and he is fit and available and he starts the left back. Perfect, fantastic, fine. Lissandro starts at left centre back. Who's the right centre back? Who's going to play there? Johnny Evans? Johnny Evans usually plays on the left-hand side. So that's already a huge glaring issue. You're starting your season off really, really negatively. And if Shaw can't start, my God, I don't know how that back line's going to look. I have no idea. Maybe you will bring Amas in. I'm not sure. But just sticking with the centre-backs and the midfield. Paul Scholes mentioned something before on the fan debate. And he said, I've heard a lot of United fans saying they're excited for the new season, but I'm struggling to get excited. The middle of the pitch being an area where we're just fucking empty. Teams just breaking through us. And anyone who watched United last season saw it continuously. Every single game, bypass the midfield, giant spaces in there. Nothing has changed. Nothing. It was happening in pre-season. Defensively, making mistakes. Midfield, wide open. And it's going to be the exact same for the start of the season. So, I've been saying for the past 3-4 weeks, look, I like what they're doing. I like the pressing from the front. I like the movement, some of the patterns, the combinational play has been exceptional at times. But then when you get past the 10 and backwards, so the number 6, the number 6 and backwards, the defensive midfielder and the back line, that's still a huge issue. Still a mega issue. And I am worried about the start of the season. I'm sat here thinking now, we could get beat by Fulham. Is anyone else feel different? Do you think we're going to smash Fulham all of a sudden? Probably lose to City. I mean, our first 5 fixtures, we've actually, when I first initially looked at it, I thought, oh, that's not too bad, actually. I reckon we could win some of them. But we've got Fulham on the Friday, right? We kick the Premier League campaign off. We've got Brighton after that, away, with their new manager. We've got Liverpool at home. Southampton away and Crystal Palace away. Last season, we got fucking dicked 4-0 off Crystal Palace. I know they've lost a couple of players, but that's still going to be tricky. So actually, I mean, I don't want to be that guy who's just fucking negative constantly, but we are worse off this season. Whatever way you want to look at it, and whatever way people want to, you know, we started off really well. Started off the best in the transfer window. Look at what they're doing. Euro is a massive signing and great, and I'm so happy that we managed to get him. And obviously, it's not Ineos's fault that he got injured. So that's, you know, and the same thing with Rasmus Højlund. That's a massive blow. 2 areas of the pitch that we just did not need really players to get injured because Xerxes has only just come in. So we haven't got a proper out-and-out number 9 who can fill in that slot. And Rasmus actually looked all right when he was on the pitch. So that straight away is just a huge blow when you're like, okay. But the 2 signings that they've made, I think a lot of people would agree, they're okay, right? Not too bad. Then it's like, nothing for a month, really. I mean, when did we make Euro official? I can't remember. It was like early July, right? Mid-July. And then nothing since. We've been, you know, Delete. We agreed personal terms with Delete, Majraure, Uarte, and Brandwaite fucking ages ago. And none of them deals have been sanctioned because we're waiting for outgoings. And obviously they're not willing to take pay cuts on certain things. But sometimes I just think if you need to clear house. You know? If it's going to cost to get rid of him sometimes, maybe just do it. Because you need to cut your losses at some point in order for us to move forward. Will it sting you financially? Yeah, maybe. A little bit. But we need signings. We need players through the door. I think the majority of people would agree with that. So I was so positive. You asked me to start of July, I'd be like, oh, I'm so excited for United season. And I still am to a certain extent. But I'm also looking at it and I'm like, there's a lot of glaring issues that was there last season. And we finished 8th. You know, maybe the injuries won't be the same. Maybe that'll help out. Maybe Lissandro will stay fit. Maybe Shaw will stay fit. And if they do, that's great. Well, Casemiro still starts in that midfield. And as it stands right now, Maguire is your main centre-back. You know, talk to me. What are we saying, people? Let's see if anyone else is feeling the same as me. Because maybe I'm just being a negative Nella. Brian Casey, afternoon, Nick. Afternoon, everyone. Hello, Brian. Hi, Nick, Richard, Dan. Hope you're all good. Listening whilst busy and about. Nice to hear. Ryan said, mate, Sander Berge is not slow. He's deceptively quick. I didn't say he was slow. If you listen to what I said he's not quick off the mark, but when he gets going, he can cover distance, like, quickly. That's what I said. Main question is he an upgrade on McTominay or Ericsson? If so, get him in because we need to raise the floor of the squad to get better. More to the point, Sander Berge systematically fits us better, but quality-wise, he's not up there. So I'm saying disagree with Nick on Berg. I think he's arguably the most complementary to Mainu. I've also said that as well. I've just literally said systematically he fits us. So I haven't said, I said he'll be complimentary and that's fine. Uarte isn't the defensive monster everyone makes him out to be. We've bought players from low leagues. You loved Uarte, Sam. You were saying he's your top target. Mate, Barca signed Romeu. Yeah, that's a good point to be fair. Forgot about that. Liverpool, Arsenal, City buy players from lower teams and nothing is said when we're in for them. It's front page news. I'm going to talk about Zubimendi in a minute. We also don't have 500 million to spend. Unfortunately, we have to look at these kind of players until Ineos can sort out the mess from the Glazers, Woodward and Arnold. What are we saying in TikTok? Sander Berge is definitely not the answer for United. Your recruitment is so far behind other teams. That's from AJT. Our problem is we can't get rid of players, and that has been an issue for a long, long time. Rigo says, hey pal, how's it going? I haven't seen that name before, so if you are new to the channel, please do consider subscribing and smash a like on the video. Welcome to the Real Reds Talk community. Same goes for everyone who's on TikTok as well. If you want to join us over on YouTube, much more active on here. Hop over and join us. There's loads of us in the chat. Everyone's really, really lovely. So, yeah. So many comments. My Damned United, legend. I can't believe they did deals contracts where clubs were loaning players to and our own players to get dibs on their transfer fees. How are they still alive with decision-making traits like that? Crazy, innit? Absolutely nuts. Dan Fenton, more injuries again. Here we go again. For God's sake, we defo need a centre-back in Evans playing with Martinez. Play Amas left-back. Gonna have to. Random guy says Shaw and Martinez pairing. I don't think Martinez is particularly comfortable as a right centre-back. Look, I'm sure... Oh, wow. Another front with coffee then. I'm sure maybe that was the thought of Lisandro playing right centre back. I'm sure he can do a job there and it could be fine. But I think the balance would be a little bit strange, to be fair. Not a great pairing as two Kasai. Think Leacher and Shaw, two left orientate. Yeah, exactly. I agree. My damned. Absolutely. We haven't got the money just to cut them out, then it costs us more, which means no signings. I'm dreading it. Yeah, but if you think, like, we've bought Yoram and Xerxes, so that's what, 90 million, let's just say, 80, 90 million. But we've sold 50 million's worth pounds of players. So we've only spent 40 million, really. United, notoriously, when we are out of the Champions League, we spend money. And we've spent 40 million net spend so far. So this outgoing stuff, I'm like, okay, I understand some of it. But you're telling me they can't spend more money. They can't go get De Ligt in now for 40 million. It's bullshit to me. It's bullshit. I'd literally clear the decks and take a points deduction, Nick. Seriously, just like taking a few 4-point hits on FPL and having to make up the points for your new, better team. It's one way to look at it. Berg will be a physical presence in midfield, better than McTominay. Yeah, look, let me just clarify something, right? And then this isn't aimed at you, Stephanie, just to get my point across, right? Sander Berge would suit us better than McTominay, than Eriksen, than Casemiro. I'm not disagreeing with that. I agree. Okay, let's just get that. Just plain right in. I agree. But he is not the quality that United should be getting. If he's a squad player, okay, fine. That's okay. Man City have Kovacic on the bench, who's a much better player than Sander Berge. And he's on the bench for City. We're bringing in Sander Berge to start in the midfield. Would Sander Berge start for fucking the majority of top teams? No, he wouldn't. So why should United sign him? Because we're a little bit skint. It's bullshit in my opinion. Amortation doesn't work that way. It's not simple as money out equals we can spend C amount. Yeah, probably right, Sam. United tax, even on points deductions, we probably get relegated and City get a 5 mil fine for their 115. Yeah, look, everyone has different opinions on this, and that's what football's all about, right? But let me move the discussion on, because we had some news break yesterday from The Athletic on Zubimendi. So Real Sociedad expect Martin Zubimendi to accept the move to Liverpool. According to Sociedad sources, clubs would still need to agree a fee unless Liverpool decide to trigger 60 million release clause, which needs to be paid in full. Now, a couple of things on this. With Liverpool, they haven't been active at all in the market, right? So they've probably got more reasons to moan than we have, because at least we've bought 2 players. But look how swift they are. They've gone in there. No one even... There was maybe a few links out there. No one expected Liverpool, Zubimendi, done like that. And that's they're paying a release clause. I don't think it's an unreasonable, well, that's tricky to say, an unreasonable release clause. Jesus Christ. I don't think it's unreasonable to pay that for Zubimendi, 50 million quid. I don't. I think he's a quality player. I think he's settled at Real Sociedad. And also, I think Real Sociedad are losing Moreno, whatever his name is, who was going to go to Arsenal. So you pay, if there's a release clause there, you pay it. I don't think his wages are going to be astronomical either. Whether he suits Liverpool systematically or not, whether he would suit us, that's a question, and that's a conversation that we can have for sure. But that level of quality, I'd be okay with. If United said, right, we're signing Zubimendi, we're going to play Zubimendi and Mainu as a double pivot, or we're going to bring in Fofana as well for 20 million, and you can mix it up a little bit, and you've got a bit more physicality and stability in there. I'd be like, right, cool, let's do that, because even then, your net spend is still 100 million. If you bring in Zubimendi and Fofana, it's 100 million, really. And then you're like, okay, we need to bring a centre-back in, you bring De Ligt in, and then you make your sales. You sell your Lindelof. If McTominay can go, take 25 mil for him, perfect. And you start bringing your net spend down then to around, again, around 100. Which, for Manchester United, by the way, we make around 500 to 600 million pound revenue. So we're not skint. People push it out there. I think it's more of... This shit that we saw before even the transfer window kicked off, that they were saying, we've only got 40 million quid. It's like, you Manchester United, what do you mean you've only got 40 million pound? It's absolute bullshit. Bullshit. And I think missing out on players, the Uarte thing I understand, because when you look at it from a position of power, Uarte is... They bought him for 50 million quid, right? 60 million euros from Sporting Lisbon. Highly regarded, top player. They brought him in. had a decent first season, but then they stopped trusting him in the big games and they started playing Vitinha. Obviously, they've got Fabian Ruiz. They've got a couple of youngsters in there as well. Soler, Asensio. Like, they've got quite a few players who can play in the midfield. And they stopped trusting him in the big games. And then they brought in João Neves. So from a position of power, you're like, how can you possibly ask for more than what you paid when you haven't been playing him and you haven't been trusting him certain games, which means in your mind, you don't think he's lived up to the reputation that you paid for, so he should be worth less. So that I understand. Zubimendi's worth 50 million. Does he suit us? That's a conversation. That's a totally different topic. Abibe, United, I want De Ligt, De Jong, Mazraoui, João Felix to United is better for the next seasons. Richard Hawkins, Johnny cannot play 70 or 60 minutes. He's not physically able. That does not come from me. It comes from the Evans family. Johnny thought he was going to be a coach this season. Fucking hell. Thank you for everyone for all the follows on TikTok as well. If you would be as kind, hop on YouTube. There's a big community on here. Would love to see you guys over on there. So yeah, check us out and subscribe to Real Reds Talk. I'm going to be live again for the press conference at 4:30, and then we're going to be live again at 7 o'clock. And also, me and Sam did the preview on Man City last night. I think it's probably the first preview out of most of the fan channels, to be fair. So yeah, if you want to listen to us talk about actual football and tactics and how we think we're going to set up, check that video out after this show. Very good preview. And also some technical issues, which I didn't realise at the time, but I watched it back last night and I sounded like Darth Vader. I was like, what the fuck? I should have just kept it on that. I would have made the show hilarious. Steph says, Zubimendi will choose Liverpool because of UCL football, but Yoro weren't bothered. He was playing Champions League football with Lille. De Ligt isn't bothered. He's got Champions League with Bayern Munich. Neither is Mazraoui. He's got Champions League football with Bayern Munich. Xerxes had Champions League football with Bologna. He's chose to come to United. Uarte was happy to come to us when we didn't have Champions League football, so I'm not too sure on that. Charlie Malman, the lone and bloated staff does eat our earnings. Next season will be a different ball game for us. This summer never was going to be amazing. I'm happy with 6 players we've gotten. What 6 players have we got? Well, we signed 2 or 3 if you include Chido Obi Martin, but that's still got to have ratification, and he's going to go into like the reserve side. He's not even going to go into the first team straight away. So I'd love to know who the 6 signings are. I predict at the start of the window, United wouldn't sell any 200k plus per week. Players, sadly, that could happen unless Jadon Sancho goes. Jonathan Ball's in the chat. Nice to see you, Jonathan, saying hi all. I thought Johnny was going to take over from Tom Huddleston. Yeah, and look where we are. He's going to be starting against City, most likely. I'm with Nick to a large degree on the money we could spend. We've got room on our rolling credit facility to spend after Sir Jim Ratcliffe recently paid it down. I believe this one out of one is more strategic. I haven't watched that yet, Nick, so good for an old man this afternoon. Well, hopefully you enjoy it, Richard, and let us know your thoughts on it. As always, leave a comment. 4 youth players and 2 senior players. Right, okay, I'm with you. Maybe 6 is Latin for 2, yeah. Right, I'm going to move the conversation on because I'm getting not wound up with you guys, but just the situation around United in a minute. I find it hard to not show, you know, when people say, was it the heart on your sleeve or whatever? I'm very, like, an emotional person, especially when it comes to, like, stuff about Man United, because I'm getting frustrated. I was really happy with the way we started the window off, and then the more it goes on, the worse it gets, in my opinion, and I just want to watch us play some football, but I guarantee you, this is one thing I'm going to say to you, right? I guarantee you, when we kick the Premier League season off and we play Fulham and we play Brighton, we've had a couple of games under our belt, we will all be sat here right now saying, oh, God, Casemiro, lashing out again. Casemiro caught in a transition. Casemiro playing that risky ball and not paying off. You know, centre-backs pushing up and getting caught. You're going to see all these things again, the same issues. That's the annoying thing. That's what I'm really annoyed about. But anyway, let's discuss the manager job. So he's done an interview. I don't know if it was with MUTV or someone else. There was a few little bits coming out from there. They did like a presentation for Garnacho and Lissandro, and they had the Copa America kind of things. I'm saying like, these are winners. These are guys who, you know, da-da-da. And then he was putting like pictures up of the FA Cup final saying, look at what we achieved. Look at how we did it. And it shows when we're all together and we're all playing our best, we could beat anyone in the world. And I love that. But then in the individual interview, he was asked about Yoro and the signing, and he was saying he's got a great personality. His mentality is fantastic for such a young kid. He'll come back stronger. And it was just high praise from Erik ten Hag. So he's clearly very, very happy with Yoro, and I think we all are. I think you could see even in pre-season, and I know people say don't judge it off pre-season, but you could see little glimpses like he's able, he's capable, and having him in the back line is so much better than John. It's just the opposite to Johnny Evans. One, because Johnny Evans is double his age. So it's obviously he's not as mobile, but having Yoro in the team, he can defend spaces really, really well. He's good 1v1. He's got great recovery pace. He's physical. Him and Lissandro together would have been so much better for the start of the season. So that is a big setback straight away. But, Manu had a similar thing. He came back in November and had a phenomenal season. So hopefully Yoro has the same. He spoke about Ruud van Nistelrooy and Rene Hack, saying both are very experienced managers. These were like head coaches who have come in as assistants. So there is a big level of authority now across the board, which is great, fantastic. And he's spoken about the mental side of the game as well, and Ruud will get the best out of them, which I thought that was, he said from a psychological standpoint, Ruud is really, really good. And you can see his character kind of brush off with players, and there's no doubt he's get the best out of the attackers. His movement, his intelligence, how to spin a certain centre-back, how to drop in at certain times. Ruud is great at that, and was probably the greatest finisher United's ever had. And that's the biggest praise you can give to Ruud van Nistelrooy. So if that can brush off on strikers, which I think we saw a little bit, Højlund, the way he used his body. Again, the Arsenal centre-back didn't cover himself in glory, I don't think, in that game. But you could see it rubbing off a bit, and I was like, okay, not in that way. Get your minds out the gutter. Berg, with relation to his CV twice, good luck, boys. Relegation, I think he's alluding to. Definitely should have gone for Branthwaite, but Branthwaite's 75 million quid. So there's the question. Do you spend 60 million on Mazraoui and De Ligt, or do you go and spend 75 million on Branthwaite? There's no way Ineos are going to spend 75 million. Not a chance. No way. Right, what we're saying in the YouTube chat. Lovely to see so many of you, by the way. If you can, please hit that subscribe button, smash a like on the video, keep getting your opinions in, and I'll always read them out. Brooke saying, I can't believe we got 2 decent players in a week and then a whole month, nothing. Brooke, that comment is getting pinned straight to the top, because I absolutely agree with that, 100%. Just to allude to the poll that I put up at the start of the show, which had almost 50 votes, would you be happy with Sander Berge? 64% said yes, 13% said meh, and 23% said no. So it appears I am in the minority. The majority of people would take Sander Berge. Actually, no, I'm not in the minority, because I said I would take him over Casemiro. But I'm just like, I don't know. And I have no issue. When I mentioned the Championship before, I have no issue with that, because there's been plenty of players that have come from the Championship that have done really... I mean, Chelsea just bought Dewsbury Hall, who I think is a top talent, and I don't mind as a player. Whether he'll be successful or not, is a different conversation. James Maddison came from the Championship. One of the most creative players in the league. Fantastic. I think Dele Alli came from the Championship. Great. Ivan Toney from the Championship. Ollie Watkins learnt his trade in the Championship. So I have no issue with that whatsoever. But I know, yet to be seen. I'll happily be proved wrong on it. If he ends up being a star and a great, fantastic defensive midfielder for United, too right, I'll put my hands up and say I was fucking wrong about him. But let's see. Let's see what happens. This deadline of next week is fan-made. Things will get spicy. I think, not just with Manchester United, Alex, I think in general, you will see a lot of movement in the last couple of weeks, because a lot of teams have been very, very quiet. Man City's just sold Julian Alvarez for 80 million. You're telling me they're not going to get anyone else? Not a chance. They are going to go for a big player, maybe a Wirtz or something like that towards the end of the window, and they'll do it like that. It'll just happen rapid, and everyone will go, oh, this is what City do. They're a machine. They move quick in the market, and they've signed a player. And I think a couple of other clubs might do that as well. You might see Liverpool sign. Obviously, they're going for Zubimendi, but like a Liverpool or an Arsenal or, Tottenham, for example. To be honest, the way our club is doing business is off-putting. We're not being ambitious enough, says Joffrey Maswalibo. Interesting take. Nick on Twitter must be like a ticking time nuke. You're right. You're absolutely right. Richard saying, when Saturday comes, my pennant will be on the wall, my Sharp View Cam shirt will be on, and my 30-year-old lucky boxes will be on. Richard, wear them lucky boxes as much as we can, because we're going to need as much luck as we can get. Obviously, when it starts to get a bit dirty down there. Do change your kecks, but as long as it's the same ones, you can put them in the wash, and when United play, you can bang them back on. Sorted. Jonathan Ball, it makes you wonder what, if any, personality assessment the previous regime did. How many social media followers you got? Good, you'll do. Well, we know the crap with that. We know what type of players they went for. You know, and what we would use to persuade them is, oh, we'll offer you more money. And then when you start enticing players who only come for more money, that's when it becomes an issue, because they're not for the club. It's, oh, we came here for social media following, for the amount of wages that we're getting, and that becomes a huge issue in itself. 30-year-old boxers, damn, the crotch must be in tatters, said Sean. Blown out, crusty boxers. Very nice. If they're lucky, mate, I don't care, wear them. Sander Berge and Fofana, I think we'll be feeling a little bit more positive. Sean saying, you have no hope in a redemption arc for Casemiro. Listen. Right. I'm going to sit back, so that's when you know it's serious. If Casemiro returns to the Casemiro that he was at Real Madrid, yeah, I will do something ridiculous on a stream. I promise you I will do something ridiculous. It is not happening. Watch him in pre-season. Watch him last season. There is no way he's going to come back and be an elite midfielder in United's team. Not happening. In the way we set up, in the way we play, we want to be aggressive. He's never been that player anyway, really. But in this system in particular as well, it just highlights it even more so. You know, I will do a fucking stream with my pants off if Casemiro returns to the player that he is. Just do not expect it whatsoever. Brooks saying, I don't feel like Sander Berge is a starter material, but you never know, really. Will Uras saying, to be honest, Sander Berge was all right, but I think he's not a Man United player in quality. I agree, Will. Lumen saying, let's be happy with anything under Ineos. No, let's not be happy with anything. Why should we be happy just because they're Ineos? Bullshit. Hello all, what have I missed? Berg Imminent, for real? Yeah, so they are advancing talks with it. He's interested in the move, and it's ongoing discussions with Sander Berge. Will Uris, if he does, you've got to do a stream in a Mankina. Well, Mankina, maybe not, because I think we will lose subscribers if I do a show in Mankina. But I will do something ridiculous. I'll do 5 shots in a row or something mad on a stream. If Casemiro were to, I just don't see it. Really, really don't see it. I'd love it if he did, because my issues would go away. But, you know, it's very rare when them kind of things happen. The forfeit for Nick should be do a stream in Richard's Lucky Boxes. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Nikina, everyone's going mad now. I'm not doing a live show in not a chance in a Mankina. Because we will go. It took us years to build this community to get it up to 6,362 subs. Honestly, it took us 2-3 years to get to this point and have such a wonderful community. And I go and do a show in a Mankina, we're going to lose all of them instantly. So, yeah, maybe that's not the best idea, but I'll do it. I'll let you know like Gary Lineker did it in his kecks. Didn't he do match of the day in his kecks? I'll do that. Not match of the day, obviously. Watch long or whatever. Too much wages for a wage player needs to go. That sounded like a riddle, almost. Dan saying it just makes us sad and makes us mad that we haven't got a quality centre defensive mid in. Richard saying the next time I'm at Old Trafford, I'm going to sing We Have Anthony. You'll be the only one singing it, Richard. Sam saying he's already been banned from TikTok. Yeah, let me just glaze over that for a second, right? So I got, I'm doing a live on TikTok right now. So I can't remember what it was now. I don't know if it was a watch along or if it was a preview or I was doing something. But I was eating a sausage roll, right? And it was a good quality sausage roll, not like the crap ones you get from it. It was a decent one, like a Walls or something. I remember the day. But I was sat eating a sausage roll on a TikTok live and just talking to I don't think I was on YouTube at the time. I think I was just talking directly to the TikTok community. And I was eating a sausage roll and it came up saying you've been banned. I was like, hang on a minute, I'm not even fucking... Is someone offended? Is he a vegetarian somewhere or a vegan that's going absolutely mad that I'm eating a sausage roll? I was like, what the fuck? So I checked the reason why I'd been banned, and it said sexual... What was it now? Something sexual. Someone reported me for sexual viewing or something. So apparently, eating a sausage roll is basically porn, and I'm not allowed to do it. I was like, what the fuck, man? Surely a man should be allowed to eat a sausage roll on a live. Am I crazy or what? So, yeah, I got banned. I was like, fucking hell. Chivy saying, I know I've mentioned it before, but what's the point of Berg when we can just get Amrabat? Exactly. I've got full faith in Ineos, but this one needs explaining. Hi, Chief. Did Berg say yes to United? Yeah, he wants to join United. He wants to join Man United. He does. And I think you could see that deal accelerate. Maybe they will go get him and Fofana, and it's like, okay, well, you've got a couple players there. That would be interesting, and I'd be a little bit more happier with that, but I can't see it happening at the minute. David De Gea is expected to sign for Fiorentina on a 1-year contract with the option for another season. That's coming from Damarcio. Damarcio credibility is a little bit in the pan at the minute. I'm not saying, I mean, that will be true. It's a team in Italy, it's transfer news, like, that will be. But let's not forget, Damarcio's the one who said Eric Ten Hag's going to be sacked. Did it happen? No, it didn't, because he's still here. So, Damarcio in the mud with that one. But I'm happy for David De Gea. Buzzing for him. I think he deserves a club. How he's gone so long, I mean, it is an enigma in itself. You don't see that really. David De Gea, at a good few points in his life at United and in the Premier League, was one of the best goalkeepers on the planet. Maybe it's the way the game's going now. They want so many ball-playing goalkeepers that it's a little bit, not sure. Maybe he was demanding certain wages. I think you saw him move to Genoa break down, maybe because of wages and stuff. But for someone of that quality, to not get a team for, a year or whatever, it's like, wow, I've never ever seen that before. And to be out of a game, it's a little bit different for a goalkeeper, because you can still stay sharp and stuff. And it's different to, like, I keep itching my nose. It's so itchy. Let me have some of this Capri Sun. So look, just one thing I'll say on him. I hope he goes there. I hope the fans love him. I hope he's appreciated, and I'm glad he's back in football, because I always like David De Gea. But you need to move on. When you want a ball-playing goalkeeper, you need to move on. Charlie's saying De Gea was one of the most best Prem goalkeepers ever. Yeah, he had seasons. I mean, I remember that dickhead from AFTV. What's his name? DT, is it? After the game, and he had a phenomenal performance against Arsenal. And he was like, fucking hell, man. De Gea could save the fucking Titanic. And he can. Some of these saves he made were just inhuman. McMillan, mate, you in the wrong room to attack me. Got over a sat. Okay. Anyway, there's a bit of beefing going on there. Brooke, do you think Onana will have a good start to the season this season? I'm hoping so. If the second half of last season is anything to go off, I would be confident in him. I think he's got a mistake in him, but I also think some of the best goalkeepers in the world have. Edison at City, Alisson at Liverpool, they've made mistakes, and it's the nature of the game. They make risks, and sometimes it comes back to bite them, but they always say high risk, high reward. I'm just hoping you're able to see him peacock a little bit more, because the issue was last season we had Johnny Evans and Maguire, or whoever it was, basically filling in there. We had millions of different centre-back partnerships, so there was never a level of consistency there. The keeper had a different back four in front of him every single game. So in that sense, you have to switch up your game every single time, because it's like, oh, well, we can't really... Johnny Evans is someone who's going to take it under pressure like Sandro Martinez and then play a fucking 60-yard pass. He's not that guy. So systematically, you have to change. You couldn't really see the best out of Onana. Plus, you can't play a high line, so he can't push up and dictate as much. When he pushes up. So it was different. I do think if you can get a solid centre-back pairing in front of him, even if it's De Ligt and Lissandro, because they're both very capable on the ball, and you could probably play a high line with them, you will see the best out of Onana. I remember going back to the Champions League campaign, and there was a good few of us in the chat now who will remember this. And when he made that mistake against Galatasaray, was it? At the time, I was like, get rid of this fucking goalkeeper. And look, this is the one thing about football, which for some people, they can't grasp it online, that football opinion can change. One moment 6 months ago, you could think a player's really good. 6 months later down the line, you could say shit. That is football. It changes all the time. So there's flexibility in opinions. Onana, when he made that mistake, 2 free kicks, and he'd already done, think about Galatasaray, got Casemiro sent off. He'd already done multiple mistakes before this. Then in that Galatasaray game, Ziyech did that twice. I was like, and don't forget Bayern Munich, with Leroy Sané, that mistake. Brentford, the mistakes there. You're like, oh my God, he's a car crash. He's an absolute car crash. But in fairness to him, he's turned it around, and I think he was very, very good towards the end of last season. So if he can continue that form, I'm happy for him to stay. But we'll see. We'll assess it. Be interesting if he comes back stronger for the rest, or if he's very stale. When I put on those lucky boxers on, I say to the wife, no, No, Mr. Cheeky. But if you could just rub that United badge on the front. Okay. Bit graphic for a 12 o'clock show, but I appreciate the comedy element. Do Capri Suns stop an itchy nose? No, they don't. They don't. But I don't know. I don't know. Mate, you don't miss a beat, does he, Sean? Does not miss a beat. You going to be playing Girth and Turf today, bud? No, Angry Ginge hasn't shouted me yet, but I should be on that fucking team, let me tell you. I would put a tweet out the other day saying the best things to come out of Eccles, right? And people might not know this. I don't know who's from where in this. I know, obviously, McMillan, South Africa, so you might not be familiar with the area, but there's an area close to Old Trafford where I'm from and where Sam's from called Eccles, a little town, right? It's near the Traff Centre, and it's not too far from Old Trafford. It's about 5-10 minutes down the road. Anyone who watches Stretford Paddock, Jay Motti is from Eccles, from the same area as us, right? Angry Ginge lives round the corner from me. He lived on Brookhouse. I think he might have moved now. But he's called Morgan. Like, a lot of, through friends, people know him. So, what I'm saying is, I think H is from, he's from Moston, isn't he, actually? But there's been quite a lot of talent come out of Manchester. I'm not comparing us, but Real Reds talk straight out of Eccles. You see the reoccurring theme here. So, if they want someone who's actually fucking good at FIFA on Girth and Turf, this is your man. Because if there's one thing I'm good at, two things I'm good at in life is hosting and presenting in front of a camera, and the other one is FIFA. And people will vouch for that. Anyone who's playing me at FIFA, they've been slapped. So if they want a general, lead on boy, that's what I say. Nick eating a banana and a sausage roll. Gemma Jameson, all she knows from Nick. Not Capri Sun, but I know a Colombian guy who has stuff that stops itchy noses. I'm all right for any of that. Thank you very much. I've just got nose hairs, I think. I'm getting to that age now. You start getting little cobweb slingers on your nose. 100% if we can keep most defenders fit, Onana can easily be great for us. Yes, H is from Moston like me. I didn't know he's from Moston, Sean. Is that North Manchester, Moston, isn't it? I claimed Moston and Newton Heath as growing up in both. Ah, okay. Interesting. How much do you reckon you'll get Sander for? 15, 20 mil. Are you not worried about Berg being a signing? Are we setting Tenag up to fail? I am worried about Berg as a signing. I mentioned it at the start of the video. I am, but I don't have a say on it. Fans don't have a say. If we bring him in and he's at success, fantastic. But I do have concerns. De Gea was great at things he was great at. In my opinion, though, he never truly improved all the areas he wasn't good at. There's a lot of revisionist history around De Gea, I think. Yeah, right, okay. Anyway, I'll leave it at that, people. Thank you very much for tuning in, getting involved in the conversation. I'll leave it at this now just because we're going to be back live at 4:30 doing the press conference. So I'm eager to see who's going to be fit and available. Maybe we'll get proved wrong. We might turn around and say, nope, Maguire's made a recovery. He's fine. But I want to know what questions are going to be asked and about transfers and other things. So there's going to be some interesting bits from that. So if you would like to join me, people on TikTok, people on YouTube, for the press conference at 4:30, reacting to Erik ten Hag live, come and join us. If not, subscribe to the channel, check our content out, see if you like it. Drop us a follow on Twitter, like a couple of people out on Twitter, on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. If you don't follow us on socials already. And I'll read out the last few comments and then I'll head off. Nick is good at 3 things: FIFA, hosting, and porno sausage rolls. Man's a jack of all trades. Yeah, it's a very weird set of traits, isn't it? But I'll take it. I'm from the Isle of Man, Nick, but family in Manchester area, so when I come over to watch a game, I know where Eccles is. Yeah, it's a small town, but some talent come out of that, let me tell you. Anyway, I'll see you at 4:30, yeah?